Alright. Wow, you wasted literally no time getting that out, huh? But, good evening. Hope everyone's well. Figured I'd get one of these out. Uh, no speed running. Figured I'd get one of these out during the brief period there was available, since, I'm gonna try and do some other stuff this week that isn't just streaming. But, welcome back to Underrail. We'll see about getting a few quests done. Go ahead and kick the speed up. We'll be picking up with Lennox Pierce's request. The man stares at his nearly empty glass in silence, his mind clearly elsewhere. Lennox Pierce? He snaps out, raising his head to reveal a deathly pale visage. His sluggish eyes soon focus on you, and soon begins mumbling, communicating both with his speech and his alcohol breath. What? Pause ensues. Yes, he lowers his voice. I mean, yes, I'm Lennox Pierce. Are you? Yes, Jack sent me to talk to you. You can call me Bacon. Nice to meet you, Bacon. How are you, doing? Doing well, thank you for asking. Good. That is good. Jack told me you need some help? That is correct. Unfortunately... Look, Bacon, I need you to help me find out how my brother died. Patrick Pierce, my brother, came to Southgate Station over a year ago. He was a good man. He was good with, electronics. That's what he did here. My dear Pat. His voice begins to shake, but he composes himself. Something like a month and a half ago, he was found dead in his room, lying in bed, dead. I I came here to see what had happened, and I was told he died in his sleep. Tanner, the counselor, and he told me Dr. Pascal checked his Pat's body, but doesn't know the exact cause of death. Doesn't bleeding know the cause? Doesn't bleeding know the cause of death? Okay, calm down, Lennox. Calm down. What can I do to help you? Damn it all. Just damn it. Look, something's wrong. My brother was a healthy man. Had some back issues, but that's all. I need to know the truth. What if he was killed in some accident and they're covering it up? What if someone killed him? It's tearing me apart. Tanner won't help me anymore. As far as he's concerned, he's done with it. But I'm not. Um, I'm not. Cause of death unknown. Yeah, right. I'll help you. We'll find out what really happened to your brother. Please forgive me. I get emotional, and, this is really painful to me. He was my older brother. I have no one else. Look, I'm not sure I was understandable enough earlier. I'm very tired. I don't sleep well. If you need to ask me something, I'll be here. Oh, almost forgot this. He hands you a key card. This is my brother's room key card, in case you need to check his room. Take it. I'd like to talk to you first. Ask me anything you need. What can you tell me about Patrick? Pat was a good man, hardworking, dedicated. He was the best brother a man could hope for. I I can't just let all this go, you dig? I've had this terrible feeling about his death, and these jerks won't let me know the truth. I know it. I know it, damn it. Whatever happened to him, um, he didn't deserve it. That I can swear. What do you think caused Patrick's death? Something's wrong. Just wrong. A healthy man died in his sleep without a known cause, and they, told me there's no point in investigating any further? There's no evidence of foul play or whatever they said? Natural death? That is why you are here. I need the truth. Alright, what can you tell me? Okay. I think we need to let him chill before we get any substantial information out of him. Well, we could guess the password, or we could just hack it. Audio logs. Big Brett's Pin Heating. The big jackass came today and brought me a smashed thermostat. He was so angry at me, started screaming and calling me incompetent. Oh, an incompetent nincompoop, whatever that is. Since the brute smashed it in anger, I can't tell if he's just stupid and doesn't know how to use it, or if the unit itself had a problem. I'll check it out later. Vera's computer. Apparently, I'm a computer expert now. Vera called me the other day to see why her computer was freezing. I took a quick look, but couldn't figure out what's wrong with it. Reminded herself to check it out later, after I fixed the lock pad and medical. Linux. Linux called again. He wants to see me. He's worried about my back hurting again. Damn it. I've had these problems since the Core City riots, and he knows that the pain periodically comes and goes. Reminder to self, call him and tell him I'm fine. I shouldn't have even told him about the pain returning in the first place. Door and medical. Pascal asked me to see what's wrong with the door, lock pad, and medical. He mentioned the card is usually recognized after the 9th or 10th time, which is, of course, unacceptable. He gave me a spare to test it later, and figure out why the bloody thing won't work. Reminder also to check out the lights in operating room. One of them is flickering and the patients are getting nervous. Quentin. Quentin stopped to talk about Big Jackass. He thinks I've got something against him, that I'm messing up the heaters on purpose. Like, he knows I'm doing my best, but if I've got something against Jackass, I should talk to Tanner about it and not be a jerk. Also, I'm seriously endangering the whole station by hurting the hoppers. I'm already convicted, I guess. Damn it. I'm great with everyone here, but there's gotta be that someone or two. And that's all the logs. Technical documentation. This folder contains multiple ebooks and manuals on various equipment. Other than that, you find nothing of importance. Okay then. I believe I can get into the morgue naturally, as in, but... Oh, it just works now, never mind. Access patient records. Let's look at Mr. Patrick Pierce. Chronic back pain. Prescribed painkillers. Gabapentin this time. We're getting low on other painkillers, and since we don't have anyone suffering from epilepsy, gabapentin will have to do. And, I know who I need to look at, but we'll take it one step at a time for the sake of completion. Arlene, insomnia. Arlene reported having trouble falling asleep again. Prescribed some mirtazapine for now. We'll see tomorrow how it went. Update, it worked. We'll continue monitoring her condition. Brett Fields. Symptoms, forehead laceration. Big Brett showed up with a deep cut about 10 centimeters long across his forehead, caused by him tripping in the hopper pen and hitting his head on one of the rocks. Disinfected, stitched up, and bandaged his head. Told him to return tomorrow so that I can check on any potential complications, infections, etc. Michael Mordington. Symptoms, sharp chest pain. Mordray came while everyone was asleep and complained about a sharp chest pain waking him up. I checked him out but couldn't find anything. Took some samples, left him in the office while I did some testing, and other than slightly lower vitamin B levels, nothing seems to be wrong with him. Update. He said everything is fine now. A few days have gone by without any chest pains. Told him to see me if the pain returns. Joe Hendricks. Symptoms, depression. Joe came and asked for depression tablets, sertraline. Said it's the only thing that helps her. I administered placebo treatment because I have reason to believe it's all in her head. Gave her some inert tablets and will monitor her condition. Updates. The tablets helped her a lot, just as I suspected. We'll prescribe more and continue to monitor her condition further. Lucas Stanford. Symptoms, broken toe. I don't know, that seems like a pretty cut and dry case there. Lucas dropped a grenade case on his foot and smashed his toe. Fixed him up and prescribed him painkillers. Recommended only light painkiller doses so the overuse doesn't slow down the healing process. Patient archive. Well, excuse me, I should be able to hack that. What good is hacking if you can't hack a computer? The body bag in front of you contains a male corpse. The label on the bag reads Patrick Pierce. It appears that the corpse has been here for some time, but the extremely low temperature of the freezer prevented it from decaying. I doubt this. Actually, I don't even think I put anything in here, but sure, biology. No matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to determine the cause of this man's death. Maybe if you knew more about the human body, you could figure it out. We're not going to bother Pascal quite yet. Hmm? Oh, bacon. What did Patrick do in Core City? Didn't I tell you about that, already? You did, but remind me again. He didn't, but we're trying to be polite. Fine. Here we go again. Pat and I, we were orphans. Our mother, died when we were young. And Dad, we never met him. So we had to take care of ourselves, or, more precisely, Pat had to take care of us both. After years of doing whatever earns coin, scavenging and the like, you dig, Pat and I came to Core City. It was just after Biocore fell apart, maybe some time after. Riots and chaos filled the streets. Praetorian security, newly formed at the time, needed men to help them fight the, rioters and all that bunch. The pay was good, so Pat joined. He was young and, you dig, early, so he became an enforcer. Can you tell me about Praetorian security? They were trying to take control of the city, and, they eventually did. They are one of the major factions in Core City now, but they were a marble back then compared to the boulder they are now. Please, continue. Pat and I both stayed in Core City due to his work, and it went well for a while. Unfortunately, he was hurt during one of the riots. A brute with a sledgehammer slammed him right in the spine. He's lucky he just didn't straight up die. The bastard got him real bad, so bad he had to leave Praetorian security, as he couldn't do his job anymore. He was also hurt, mentally. He saw things, horrible things. Rarely talked about it, but I could see it. We left Core City after that. Nothing for us there anymore. I took care of him until his back got better, and then we split. He went around, learned to work with electronics, and he didn't want to be a scavenger his whole life. So he roamed before settling here in Southgate Station. He told me he was happy here, that he finally found a place he can feel safe and at home. Tears began rolling out of his eyes to refill his glass. Damn it. What about you? What did you do after the split? After you split? He wipes his eyes. I had to learn to take care of myself. I, went to work in Foundry for a while, as a miner. But since I valued my life somewhat, I left that place. The pay was good, you dig, but, that place is a death trap. Then I worked at Junkyard Docks. I did all sorts of things, and it would take some time to mention them all. Alright, that's all we need from him for the time being. We're going to down some juice. Make our way to Core City. Oh, actually, before we go down to base level, I do need to check in with one person. And yes, we're moving in stealth slowly for a reason. Because we don't want him getting any stupid ideas. Oh hey, he even had a oddity on him, so that's a train law for one oddity point. Hey pal, I knew you'd find me. I need some specific information. That's what I'm saying. Prepare some food and let's get started. I need some information on a former Praetorian security officer named Patrick Pierce. Again, hey pal, I can dig something out for you. Don't you worry a thing. John's your man. But don't you trust me? Wait. Okay. He might just be saying shit weirdly, or maybe there's a progression speech in the progression bug in the speech, the dialogue options. Don't you trust me? Come on, pal. He observes you with anticipation. After a few moments, he smiles and speaks. Fine, if you're not going to offer anything, I'll have to ask for it myself. Oh, okay, that's what it was. Since this requires quite a bit of work, I'll have... my special. Actually, yeah, you know what? Again? Yeah, pal. Oh, that's why. Yeah, pal, some guy came here exactly several months ago, asked about the same man. Oh. Ah. You know, I could go and take the bait, or I could block the bot. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Da, da, da. Asked about the same man. Tall, black, long hair. I know, pal. Yeah, do you have to do something different to ban them? Because, it... all I saw was, block them. But, let's see. I know, pal, there's a lot of people who look like that. I know. So about my special. I'll have to pay closer attention then. Your special what? You're joking, right? You don't know what my special is? Hey, pal, you disappoint me. Come on. How come you don't know what my special is? It's like you've only recently met me, pal. Look, just go to Moe's and tell him you want John's special. Got it? Bring it to me, pal, and by the time you're back, I'll prepare everything you need about Patrick Pierce. That's what I'm talking about. He raises his chin and speaks in a pseudo-divine voice. Now go, mortal. Seek Mo and acquire John's special. If the god, me, is pleased, then you will gain the knowledge that you seek so vigorously. Go now. Ye. I'm going. But yeah, fortunately we've only had, what, the 2 bots so far? So I actually don't have much experience with the interface for that just yet. Everyone likes eating at Moe's. I'd like to order one John special. Bless him. You got 200 Karens ready? 200? Did you put gold in that thing? Yeah, I'd say we're lucky we've only had 2. I've heard people who are about in the same position as me having more, so... John's special requires some expensive ingredients. He likes it made that way, not only for the better taste, but also for the better conversation, as he phrased it himself. He never hesitated sending someone to buy it for him, so the price is not the issue, apparently. Here are the coins. Hardcore. Please wait while I prepare the dish. It won't take too long. It took a while for Mo to prepare the special, more than he suggested at first. Still, you've never seen someone prepare a dish with so many different and, to you, exotic-looking spices. Different kinds of meat, some removed from the vertical skewer at the stall, some from the grill, with the addition of 5 kinds of mushrooms, roots, and of course, spices. The scent is so strong it could make a person feel full without even touching the food. And finally, the dish is ready. Here you go. Tell John I said hi. I will. Goodbye, Mo. And since we're already down here, we're gonna also work on the other quest that Jack gave us from Ohad Zonder. Pale man, stand still. casually observing his surroundings. He sees you approaching him and thoroughly inspects you with a stare as warm as a glacier. Pardon me. All the while remaining silent. You quickly pick up that he is waiting for you to initiate the conversation. Leave without saying a word. Jack Quicksilver sent me. He answers in a calm manner. Good. I have work for you. You already know my name, I'm sure, so I see no point in repeating it. I'll just get straight down to business. A trader called Daniel Arda has just disembarked from the train on this very station and, knowing his usual routine, is either dealing with the local merchants or drinking himself into a stupor at the hardcore city bar. Let him continue. Daniel has recently added a new product to his assortment, a drug called Hercules, which allegedly increases the user's combat performance, and quite substantially. I believe it's all bogus, and I want you to perform an investigation. If I'm right. I mean, it's always a good idea if it's something you already know is out, and you're like, this seems good. You might as well. In a few days. Oh right, is your birthday coming up? I want you to perform an investigation. I'll keep it in mind if I have anything readily available. If I'm right, and what he does is indeed a fraud, I want him publicly exposed and, therefore, humiliated. I want every living soul in Core City to know what kind of a man Daniel Arda is and what he is doing. I hope I was clear enough. The rest is up to you. I'll be here if you have any more questions. Once the job is done, I will be leaving. And goodbye. That's all we need from him. Yes, yes. So, I have been very explicit in how I've handled a few quests this game. And, it's actually all been ramping up to Jack Quicksilver's quest, because once you've completed all of them, you get some interesting things coming up, and I think at the rate this is going, we should be good to have that reveal tonight. At first glance, the man you just approached doesn't appear to be anything out of the ordinary. Average height, average build, average amount of dirt on his clothes. Yet, the moment he spots you, he slowly puts down his half-empty bottle, removes his goggles, and shows you a gaping hole that used to be his left eye, and awaits your reaction. After not receiving any, he puts the goggles back, grins politely, and begins the conversation. Hello, how's it going? Good, you say. I am happy to hear that. I honestly am. Name's Daniel Arda, and it's a pleasure to meet you, friend. Do you know that I know why you've come to see me? He smiles. Hey, I'm just trying to start a friendly conversation. Is there something I should know? Really? Really? You're not here to purchase Hercules? When you say Hercules, what do you mean exactly? He laughs. When I said Hercules, I meant the most powerful combat drug known to man. You might be thinking I'm derailed, that I'm making this up, but no, I am not. There is a reason it's named after the famous mythical hero of the old world. Hercules gives you insane power in the blink of an eye, turning you into a superhuman juggernaut whose strength, agility, and reflexes eclipse everybody else's. As people around here often say, you're going to dominate. I've had many satisfied customers so far, and not a single complaint. What more proof do you want, eh? Well, may I try this Hercules drug? I was starting to get worried you weren't going to make a purchase, he laughs. I sell them for, say, 600 Karens apiece. Since this is your first purchase, I'll go down to 500. I think that's fair. Let's see. We'll see if Mercantile will do it, but probably not. Curses. I shouldn't have spent so much money on booze. I only have like 400 Karens. Well, tough luck, friend. It's hard to resist, though. He takes another swig of root soda. Okay, I'll take it for 500 Karens. Good, good. You know it makes sense, he laughs. And here you go. Take this. It gives you 1 dose of Hercules. Just inject it into a vein and enjoy the power. The effect is immediate. If you want more, you'll have to wait a while. I've only got a few remaining, but I'll be back with a bigger shipment next time. This business is going to flourish, friend. I'll be leaving. Goodbye. So, we have ways of checking it out. Also, here's John's special. For the amount of money it takes, it is not worth using for yourself, but it increases all skills by 5. And Hercules increases strength, dexterity, agility, and constitution by 5 for 10 turns. But at what cost? Naturally, there might be some side effects. He looks around, then whispers, "Hey pal, got food ready?" Here's your special. Now, I want information on Patrick Pierce. My food! Gimme, gimme, gimme. He then smells it. That's what I'm talking about. Damn, this is good. Pal, you did excellent. While you were gone, I got the information you needed, so listen up carefully, because I will be eating and talking at the same time. What a pig. First bite. Swallow. He swallows. Your friend, Patrick, was indeed working for Praetorian Security. He came aboard almost 15 years ago. Back when it was still pretty bad in Core City. Riots, gangs, violence. Yeah, pal. Patrick was fighting rioters until he got hurt badly and had to leave for good. Second bite. He swallows. Patrick was involved with something quite interesting during his time in Praetorian Security. Operation Banishment. What can you tell me about Operation Banishment? Third bite. Operation Banishment. He swallows. Operation Banishment was a cleanup of all the remaining Spectres, Biocore's elite operatives, who were still loyal to the overthrown anti-protectorate Biocore directors. Patrick turned out to be quite a hero. He got a promotion for killing several of these deadly Spectres, but he was injured soon after that, so he didn't have the time to enjoy it. Fourth and final bite. What? Where's the food? I ate it all? But me still hungry. Tummy burning, not yet gone. Is that everything? Hey, pal, you really think I'd hide something from you? Huh? Don't disappoint me, pal. That's all I know. What about the Spectres? Do you know more about them? Not really. Just what I told you. Former Biocore Special Forces Unit. Deadly, all killed by Praetorian Security. Officially, at least. Most of the information on Spectres was probably destroyed a long time ago. I don't know, pal. If you search hard enough, maybe you'll find some hardcore dope who's interested in all that stuff and knows more about it than I do. However, unlikely that someone knows anything more than me. His stomach growls. Again. Thanks for the information. See you later, John. And as it would just so happen, we know somebody who worked in Praetorian Security, even if it was only mentioned in passing. Hey, gunslinger, back for more gear. I'm looking for some information on Spectres, a former Biocore Special Forces unit. You know anything about them? Hardcore. You know about the Spectres? You know about the Spectres? Why would I know about them? I'm hardcore, they were hardcore. We have so much in common. During my days in Praetorian Security, I heard a lot of stories about Spectres. I was so impressed that and don't tell this to anyone, I copied the file on them and brought it with me when I left the force. Man, let me tell you, they dominate. Can I see the file? You still have it? He hesitates for a second before speaking. Well, I suppose sharing their hardcoreness with more people is okay, I suppose, for a price. I'm your trusty customer. How about you let me take a peek for free, eh? Hey man, this is some hardcore stuff. I can't just show it to anyone. I mean, I can't show it to anyone for free, but for 50, no, this should be worth 100 Karens. For that, I can let you take a peek. A hardcore peek. I'd like to view the document on Spectres. You know what? I don't know if that'll affect trading, so I'll leave the persuasion check alone. Besides, it's 100 Stygian coins. It's just nothing. He extends his hand. 100 Karens. Give it to him. Takes the Stygian coins. Hardcore. Let me find the document. It's yours to view. You're not leaving the store with it, though. It takes him a brief moment to search for the document, and then hands it to you. He carefully watches you while you read it. This file contains all known information on Biocore's Special Operations Force. Spectre. Full name, Spectre. Part of Biocore Security. Insignia, see picture below. There's no picture, you asshole. Known members list. James C. Barlington. Rudolph Branger. Timmy Joe Burner. Michael Mordington. Stephen Luck. Akira Matamo. Elisa Bain. Johann Hagenstrom. Gunther. Known information. The Spectres were Biocore's most elite unit, composed of a small number of highly trained operatives and usually tasked with performing dangerous missions. They were most often sent to perform assassination missions. Before the takeover of Biocore, they were a part of approximately 245 operations. 156 of those were assassinations. They were infamous for executing their victims by stabbing them through a nostril and into the brain, leaving very little and sometimes undetectable traces of how the target was killed. All known Spectres were killed during Operation Banishment, launched by Praetorian Security. While several bodies were never recovered, no Spectre activity was detected after the operation. The last page contains a picture of the Spectre insignia. Thank you. This is enough for now. I'm just going to give it back to him. Aren't they hardcore? Damn, that technique of theirs. Dominating. Just dominating. So, you might recognize one of those names. But we can go back to Southgate Station for 2 reasons now. Head back up to, or down to, no, to south. To south? What about to south? Pardon me. I'd like to have a certain substance tested. Sure, I can do that. Please tell me what this is all about. I have reason to believe that this combat drug, called Hercules, has negative effects on the human body. I need to have it tested to be sure. Oh, SGS. Okay. Alright. It's part of the name, so I didn't even think of it. Combat drugs? That doesn't sound good. In my experience, administration of such substances is very likely to cause some health problems. But let's do the testing first and see what we're dealing with. Please wait for me to run some tests. It won't take too long. Pascal leaves the office. While you wait, you pass your time by walking around, by playing with the pen he left on his desk, and by looking at the cracks in the ceiling. He returns shortly, as he said he would. At that moment, You somehow forgot where you put that pen you took from the desk. Oh well. That's extremely real. This is incredible. Pen thief. I mean, tell me. Alright, if you've ever been in an office and you had nothing to entertain yourself with when the owner was out, I'm just going to be honest with you. Pens have a habit of walking off, I'm just saying. This is incredible. You're right about this drug, but calling its effects negative is a huge understatement. Just let him continue. This substance, Hercules as you call it, is in essence a mix of different synthetic hormones that act upon various organs and tissues in the body, considerably improving their performance, but only for a short period of time. This bombardment of hormones pushes the body beyond its limit and will cause horrible consequences, perhaps even death, within a relatively short time period, depending on the user. Metabolite saturation in muscles will eventually cause painful cramps, increased heart rate and blood pressure, cause headaches, and possibly lead to cardiac arrest. There's also the loss of concentration. Look, that's only the tip of it. There are also unhealthy amounts of heavy metals in the substance. I dare not to think where and how this is made. How did you come across this atrocity? Some guy sung it in Core City. Oh. Oh. I need to expose him, and to do that, I need some evidence. May I have the test results? But of course! Here you go, Bacon. Everything's here. He hands you a flash drive. Thank you, Pascal. See you around. And by see you around, I mean hi. Oh, no, back here. Hi. What do you know about Patrick Pierce's death? Here we go again. Look, I've checked the body and did various tests. I don't know what killed him. The problem with people here is that they think being a doctor means you know everything related to medicine. I am not a forensic pathologist. We don't have one here, unfortunately. So I can only do my best to check the body and move on to treating the living. So unless you have some specific information about his death, we can't really discuss it any further. And what if his death was a well-planned murder? Well, I found no traces of toxins or any other deadly substances in his blood. He doesn't have any wounds, internal or external, on his body, and I checked it twice. A violent death is highly unlikely. I know how Patrick Pierce died. And how would you know that? I did some investigating and believe Patrick was murdered. Pascal's face... Oh, give me... I was about to sneeze, but then it's lingering, so there's the warning. Pascal's face turned serious. Murder? But how's that possible? Wait, first, tell me how Patrick was murdered. A long, sharp object was used to stab him through the nose and into his brain. Pascal remained speechless. You check the body now that you know the cause? Yes, I will, at once. You wait here while I quickly examine the body. Yeah, just don't ask why his body is not in the cabinet. You noticed a suspicious countenance on Pascal as you were telling him about the murder, but when he finally returns, you could immediately tell that what you said turned out to be the truth. His expression of doubt is now one of astonishment as well as regret. Oh, body was going. No, that isn't. This isn't that kind of game. Don't worry. Or is it? You you were right. There is a puncture wound going through the nose and right into the brain. That was enough to kill him. I would have never guessed it. I failed. If I had only been more thorough. Relax. It's understandable. Thank you for your help. Yes, but tell me who did this. I have to report this. I have to investigate this further. Don't say anything to anyone until I have more evidence, or else the murderer might realize we're on his tail. Alright, I'll keep my mouth shut. This is all insane. You mean unrailed? Or derailed? And this wouldn't be complete. This wouldn't be Danganronpa without finding the murderer. So, you'll find out in a minute, or you might even be thinking about it already, since we're going to an awfully odd place. There was a name on the list of specters that's, kind of damning. But you wouldn't know it at face value, because, around here, they're only called by a different name. And yet, if you look through the medical records... Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to play it up. But if you paid attention, Mordre's full name is Michael Mordington. Michael Mordington was one of the specters. Something you need? What do you know about Patrick Pierce's death? Died in his sleep. That's how I remember it, at least. Can you tell me what he was like as a person? Patrick, he was okay. People liked him. He had some good friends here in SGS. I'd met him in the bar a few times. We would chat, but we never socialized more than that. Interesting. I know you killed Patrick Pierce. Killed? Patrick Pierce died in his sleep. Probably won't make this check, but, you were a member of the Spectres, the only one who survived Operation Banishment, and you decided to take revenge on Patrick, knowing that he was part of the operation. He pauses, slowly shaking his head from side to side. Then, he smiles. This conversation is over, friend. I mean, Judge Bacon. I pity you. Go bother someone else. So, we're going to leave and come back. And Mordred's gone. So if you have high enough persuasion, he will actually turn hostile and attempt to silence you. I believe that is the only way you can haul off and just straight kill him without turning the members of FGS hostile. But this does qualify for a... Whoa. Okay, map. This does qualify for a sufficiently thorough conclusion for this quest. You've ascertained who did it and how, and that's what Pierce wants from you. So, under this set of circumstances, yes, he just disappears because, well, your persuasion isn't really to convince him. I mean, obviously, as the murderer, he knows, but it's not enough to make him think that, I guess, that you know everything? It's kind of weird that the persuasion check is what turns him hostile. But, whatever. Did your brother ever mention anything to you about specters or Operation Banishment? No, he never did. Not as far as I can remember it, no. Why? I asked around and found out that Pat was part of the operation while he was working for Praetorian Security. He never told me about it. I can't help you. Sorry. Let me ask you about something else. Okay. I have reasons to believe your brother was murdered. Also notice, you can literally pin it on anybody. There's actually one way to do it that does falsely set up somebody, but I don't believe it quantifies as a successful conclusion and therefore won't count for our purposes. Linux's eyes enlarge, revealing fully how bloodshot they actually are. Really? My. I. Do you know who did it? Mordre. Why would he do something like that? He had reasons for revenge. Revenge? Tell me what you know. You need to tell Lennox the clues that made you suspect Mordre was the killer. General clues? Spectres are elite assassins who are famous for killing their targets by stabbing them through the nose, killing them, and leaving a wound that is difficult. Well, alright. During his Praetorian security days, Patrick was part of an operation that hunted down and killed the remaining Spectres, Biocore's elite Special Forces unit. Spectres are what I just read off. Michael Mortington was a member of the Spectre unit. Mordre's real name is Michael Mortington. Something was used to pierce Patrick's nose and damage the brain. This one doesn't really, that's almost like a red herring. Murder weapon clues. Wait. Oh. I guess I need to find the murder weapon then. Okay, well, he doesn't just close it. Alright, so let's find the murder weapon, I guess. I don't remember that ever being an issue, but... Also, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are here, as we named them at the beginning of the game. What do you know about Patrick Pierce's death? Yeah, I remember it all right. He seemed healthy and well, but then one day he didn't leave his room for almost the entire day. When they went to check up on him, they found him dead in his bed. Poor guy. Can you tell me what he was like as a person? I like Pat. He was a good person, even though we had some disagreements. For example, I asked him to install some heaters for my hoppers. He did so, and everything was supposed to be automatic. Fine. I come back and my hoppers are lying on their sides with their tongues out. It felt like I entered a furnace. I don't know how he messed up, but I specifically told him to test it and to be careful, like 100 times. Make sure it freaking worked before you fire it up. My hoppers nearly died because of it. He sighs. I know it sounds like I'm overreacting, but this is serious work. I'm feeding the station, for crying out loud. Let's see. I literally just need to find the murder weapon, so this is actually a little annoying now. Yeah, I guess it could be in medical. Oh, that would be why I didn't check the medical inventory, which, to be fair, should have been a thing before. Surgical equipment, articulator, bone chisel, caudal cartilage crusher. Looks like they're out of stock on those. Nothing we care about. Just want to point out ultrasonic scalpel. Surgical needle, straight, extra large, 1 out of 2. Note, one is inexplicably missing from the operating room. Doubt it was broken and discarded. They're big and sturdy. There we go. Standard equipment. Rest of this shouldn't even matter. Okay. I was getting a little bit worried, but no, I should have just come back here again. Or come here after getting the initial Spectre information. So now, go and report to him. And reason to believe he was murdered. Mordre. Binge. General. Patrick was killed with a large surgical needle. Shouldn't need more than that. That bastard. Thank you. Thank you. You finally discovered who killed Pat. You can return to Jack for your payment. I finally know what happened to Pat. What will you do now? He pauses. I'll talk to Tanner about this. I'll take care of everything. So long, Lennox. Rest well. Now that you know the truth. I will. Now we can head back to Core City. Now, we need to figure out how to expose this drug trading asshat. You walk toward the buff barkeeper, but somewhere along the way a mug flies before your eyes, from left to right, and collides with some poor squeezer's head. A different drug, though. Well, technically, it's categorized as a drug, but let's be real, it's just alcohol. Special alcohol. The blow sends the fellow to the floor, face first, while everyone around him laughs at his misfortune, including the barkeeper. You finally approach him, and he yells at you, as that seems to be the only way to be heard in this place. Welcome to Hardcore City Bar, the place where the most hardcore meet to have a drink. I haven't seen you before. I'm Gene, the owner, and this here is my beautiful wife, Harriet. Name your poison, mate. So we'll go ahead and get this procced while we're here. I need to talk to Gorski. Leans forward and speaks in a whisper. Absolutely. Take this key here and use the back entrance. It's just around the corner, out and around the corner to the north. He winks, then laughs and continues talking loudly. That's a good joke. Very funny. What do you know, or do you know anything about a merchant named Daniel Arda? Oh, the Cyclops. I know him, and I dislike him, mate. He comes here often pretending to be hardcore, orders a drink, and then blatantly hits on my wife before these two eyes. What about the time you were hitting on Derico when she was here with her husband? I wasn't hitting on her, love. I was just being friendly. You know I would never hit on another woman. Nevertheless, where were we? The Cyclops. I think he's doing some really questionable business. That Hercules thing sounds like a hoax if I've ever seen one. I've heard of some men who bought it, left Core City, and never came back. Look, if you need any help with that guy, let me know, he winks. No one hits on my wife. I'm here to ask for your help with Daniel Arda. Absolutely. Anything you need. I have evidence that proves Hercules is an extremely dangerous substance. I just need to somehow present it to everyone in Core City. So you came to me, mate? I'm glad for it, because I know just the right man for the job. This guy can access one of those gauntlet display ads, and he can put on view whatever you want. He already did it before, but that's a different story that begins with some heavy intoxication. He laughs. Just give me the evidence, and I'll take care of everything. You really hate him, don't you? Give him the flash drive. Nope, he laughs. I've got nothing against that Cyclops. I don't know what you're talking about. So everything's here. Just wait a while and everyone will know. Absolutely everyone. And now, just gotta head back to Ohad Zonder. Whoops. As you come closer, you see his expression has changed into that of great satisfaction. The frigid stare still remains, however. Perfect. I must say I enjoy your methods. At first, I was surprised when I saw the ads had turned into something quite different than the norm, but after I finally realized what I was looking at, he chuckles. I am pleased. You can inform Jack that the rest of the money will be transferred to him within hours. As for me, I'll be leaving as of now. So long. I always get the job done. Farewell. And with that, that's all 3 of Jack's jobs done. And with satisfactory results. We got Sally Toter Watch or whatever out of jail without causing any degree of ruckus. We solved the murder. And we outed a drug dealer as a piece of shit. All in all, fairly good job in all cases. Yeah, I'm done with Everard's assignment. I've been informed. It gives you 400 Stygian coins. Anything else? I'm done with Xander's assignment. Indeed you are. Gives you another 400 Stygian coins. Anything else? I'm done with Pierce's assignment. As I hoped, it gives you another 400 Stygian coins. Which doesn't leave much room for profit, but basically covers everything that was lost. I've done everything you asked. Now what? Indeed you have, and with optimal results even. This hasn't gone unnoticed. There's someone who wishes to speak with you. Travel to the caves below Lower Underrail and look for Azif in a place called the Hanging Rat. Alright, I'll look for Azif. We'll head over to Rail Crossing. Enter stealth and head down to the caverns. We're going to completely ignore the beetles. A male figure stands unmoving before you, hands clasped in front of him. Most of his head is in wraps, except for a pair of pitch-black eyes. It is as if you stare into the abyss only to discover that the abyss was staring into you long before you were aware of its existence, and the abyss embraces you. Give me one moment. I keep hearing noises. Apologies for that. Do have to check on that every now and then, just because you never know. His fingers are the first to come to life, moving like the legs of a centipede. Then you hear a slow, offbeat voice addressing you. You have questions for me, yes? He moves his hands to the side and tilts his head slightly upward. I am Azif, and I've been observing your performance keenly. I must say, watching you grow as an agent and take progressively harder tasks upon yourself, and then even executing them optimally, with thought and elegance, was not something I get to witness often. It's a pleasure to work on those missions. That is good to hear, for that means you'll find the following proposition enticing. We are the Eye of Underrail. We watch and wait for opportunities such as those you've been given. Opportunities to obtain wealth, to gain better understanding of this world we found ourselves in, and perhaps to change its course for the better. We need people such as yourself, yes. People who understand that steering destinies requires a gentle hand, even though that very hand must occasionally hold a knife. We need people that value secrecy over glory, and understand the advantage of the defensive cover of anonymity. You understand. I understand. Very good. Tell me then, is this something that you would want to be a part of? Will you join our organization? Yes, I wish to join your organization. His eyes move, but their uniform blackness prevents you from distinguishing the exact point of their focus. A single blink brings them to a stop. Excellent. Follow me. So I've said it on a few occasions that the setting for Underrail is honestly one of the bigger things that has made this game appealing as more than just oh, it's like Fallout. And, this is part of why. If you recall, this is the cliff that led down to the lunatic camp where they were trying to attain, transfinity. We're here. There's more in this place than meets the eye, I assume. Indeed. Look closer. Not with these eyes, he points to your eyes, but with your mind's eye. Allow me to help you with that. This has been here the whole time. Welcome to Oculus, Bacon. By now, many questions must have accumulated inside your mind. I will try to answer them as best I can. What is this place? This is Oculus, the eye of Underrail, yes. All important information finds its way here sooner or later. So, hold that thought for a reason. I had already planned on making a joke, and you only miffed me because you took the wind from my sails, but you'll see. We use this information to generate profit and ensure our safety, survival, and prosperity. And also to make sure this place remains secret and undefiled. We have not built it, and it is not ours, but we are its custodians for the moment. Who built Oculus? It was originally built by beings we, in absence of a better name, refer to as God-men. We learned this much from the mainframe. We don't know for sure what its purpose was originally, but we assume it was similar to what we use it for today. Spy on people? Indeed. Though much of their machinery is broken or inoperable, those that we can still use give us considerable insight into what is going on in Underrail. That is why we call it Oculus. Who were the God-men? When the mainframe spoke to me, it uttered words in an unknown language directly into my mind. Nah. You'll see some stuff. Among those were thoughts and concepts my mind have never encountered before, and had great trouble processing. Some of them still confuse me to no end, and prevent me from deciphering the messages of the mainframe. Some of them, such as God-men, my mind could approximate. Know, though, that this is not a compound word in its original language. It does not stand for godly men or male gods. This much I know. What exactly it means is a part of the mystery, and for the same reasons I cannot explain the meaning of the word, I also cannot convey well enough the things the mainframe told me about the Godmen. Depending on whether the messages are interpreted as history or visions, Godmen are, were, or yet to be the masters of their galaxy and all the universe that is within their reach. Their home is a moon orbiting a gas giant. Where these celestial bodies are in relation to us, I do not know. They came into power by defeating the Leviathans, whom they greatly hate. Though I know little about those, Godmen sit immortal on their moon, watching the universe through super telescopes. Their stars give them more power than they need, and they can fire their deadly weapons as far as they can see. Godmen have nothing to fear except the dark, empty, silent expanses and primordial fires, though they highly prefer the latter. That is a lot to take in, is it not? Do not ask me what any of this means, though. I would not condition your contemplations with my own assumptions. I'd rather you produce something entirely new for me to consider. Very interesting. Perhaps I'll meditate on it. Yeah, it literally just zooms the scope out, even though you've been underground. You don't even see the surface of this world. And now you've got space. I hope that you do. Let's see. What is this mainframe you speak of? This thing here in the center, that's the crystal mainframe. I am not completely clear on what it is myself, and it's even harder to convey that which I know about it. A supercomputer, a database, a prophetic machine, a sleeping god. It could be taken as any of these things, or it might be all of them. Those of us who can withstand its intensity have connected to it psionically to receive its knowledge and visions. This is dangerous business, though, and more than a few good men have been driven completely insane by its power. Can I try to connect to it? You may, but know that it is likely to end badly for you. I think we did Who Were the Godmen, so who built Oculus? It was originally built by beings... Okay, no, we did do this part. Okay. Aren't you worried about the lunatics underneath the Oculus? Not in the slightest. Even if they could circumvent the electronic defense system somehow, gaining access to Oculus is impossible. With a courteous nigh. Conversely, their trips into certain death provide us with some valuable information regarding the nature of their lunacy. The fact that they can perceive Oculus, or certain aspects of it, is not something that should be ignored. We've been noticing for years that many of them tend to be drawn to sources of great psionic energy. But how exactly all of that is arranged in their disarranged minds remains a mystery still. It is up to us to observe. I've talked to one of the lunatics beneath the Oculus, a psychokinetic wearing a purple and blue robe and a lustrous gem on his forehead. Intriguing. Go on. He was talking a lot about lines, angles, forms. I also saw the ritual, or transformation, how they call it, through which they are trying to reach transfinity. That's when they get fried. Transfinity. Transfinity. Beyond affinity. Beyond limits. Beyond the limits of this world, perhaps. So their attraction to Oculus could have some religious basis. At least for him it does. It is not difficult to imagine that they're trying to reach this transfinite idol of theirs through what they don't perceive as violent death, but rather some kind of journey, perhaps. Is this lunatic still among the living, or did he share the fate of his predecessors? He's alive, maybe. Excellent. I'll keep a closer eye on him. These lunatics. There is some truth in what they're sensing, yes. However, they might interpret it. I merely wish to distill it, Bacon, and learn from it. So what do I do now? I suggest you look around a bit. Familiarize yourself with the equipment and your colleagues. Like yourself, each of them are here for a good reason, yes. And when you're good and ready, come and see me again. I have an assignment for you. So, we're in the Oculus. This is a rift. That makes it the Oculus Rift, haha. But you already ruined the joke. But, good on you. No. You really don't want to ruin things here. And if you notice, our list is getting quite large. We can go to quite a few locations now with this network. The woman turns toward you, slowly and calmly. She looks at you with emotionless eyes, greets you with an impassive expression, and speaks to you in a toneless voice. Bacon, I am Phyllis, and I perform repairs on all oculites, or if you prefer a different term, I offer medical attention. Nice to meet you, Phyllis. Pleasure is mine. If you get damaged, do not hesitate to see me. During my time here, not a single one of my patients expired. Expired? Dead, deceased, departed. One that has ceased to be. Well, I have no wish to expire. I'll see you if I need help. Please do. All treatment will be free of charge. But, what if we were to buy stuff? And if I recall, coincidentally, if you need cigars, she is one of the few vendors in the game that can consistently offer cigars. They might not actually be offering what I need right now, though. Oh well. You mentioned repairing oculites. Yes, that is what I said. Why? Is that term bothering you in that particular context? It doesn't bother me, not at all. I just suspect that there is a reason for using that specific word in that context, and I'd like to hear it. In that case, I'll give you an explanation, Bacon. I understand that we... For Mordona? What are you doing right now? I understand that we humans have this belief that we are somehow special, somehow unique, that we somehow possess a certain property, perhaps a soul, if you will. Some would say that we were created by a higher power, even. Whatever the specific case, it comes down to our lack of understanding, or better yet, our lack of knowledge about humans or other living creatures that makes us think so. Oh, okay. From my perspective, the reality is different. When I look at a living body, I see muscles that contract to pull tendons that bend the arm. I see a heart, a simple pump, the most easily replaced organ, doing just that, pumping fluid. I see that same fluid containing red blood cells, which in turn contain hemoglobin, which contains iron molecules that bind with the oxygen, which is later carried to the cells to fuel them with that very oxygen. Fuel. It is all these mechanisms, chemical reactions, electrical signals within our bodies that make it function, and it is all these smaller living beings that make up a whole larger being that falsely considers itself a unique entity, one of a kind. It is made of flesh, true, But in essence, it is nothing but a complex machinery, and those I repair. And only if I see it as such, a living machine, will I be able to reach a new level, reach new frontiers of medicine, and perhaps one day repair something that we dared not touch, for we were observing it from the wrong angle, our perception impeded by false presumptions. Here you are. And one more thing that I like to point out whenever this discussion gets brought up. All living things, including us human beings, are mainly made from some of the most common chemical elements: hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen. If we were somehow special, somehow unique, or, yes, even created by something or someone greater, in case you believe something like that, then why aren't we made from, say, polonium or bismuth? Yes, that would make us very unique, don't you think? Think about it. I have not told you anything untrue. What can you tell me about Oculus? As far as I am aware, unknown beings, dubbed godmen by Azif, built Oculus for purposes unknown. I have inquired about this subject on numerous occasions, but most of the answers can be summed up with, "We're not sure, but we think." Living in a place where you know little Living in a place you know a little about can be both fascinating and frightening. And yes, I have emotions, despite what you may think of me. I noticed your stare. Now, fascinating, I think it is obvious why. Oculus is so much more advanced than anything you will find outside of it. Also, every new discovery we make opens new possibilities and knowledge. Frightening, I think it's also obvious as to why. Ignoring the deadly drop, if you trip and fall into the darkness, which, granted, never destroyed any Oculites so far, who knows what else we will find here? Maybe one day, our curiosity will lead us to our destruction. No one can tell for certain. Are you a machine? She stares at you blankly. I may seem like one due to my views and behavior, but I am not. A genuine smile shatters her bland expression. Does that make you feel better? How and why did you join Oculus? Everyone in Oculus was carefully evaluated for a prolonged time before finally being approached with the offer to join Oculus. Such was my case, yet, unlike most Oculites here, I did not seek Oculus. Oculus sought me. Can you explain? Certainly. Most Oculites started out by performing smaller, simpler jobs. Then, naturally, as they progressed and displayed the ability to perform more difficult tasks, they were given more difficult tasks, and if they could perform even more difficult, they were given those, and so on and so forth. I will take this opportunity, Bacon, to say a few words about the progression of an Oculite. In Oculus, there are no ranks, levels, or titles to attain. We are all the same, and we are not. You will always be an Oculite, but some Oculites are better than others, and it is the level of your own skills and abilities that determine your duties, hence your place in Oculus, not hierarchical gradation. In any case, let us get back to the subject at hand. I was selected based on my performance as a physician and my will to perfect my skills to the absolute maximum. I was approached and offered advanced medical knowledge, beyond what I had available at the time, in exchange for becoming a part of Oculus. I could not refuse. I do not regret my decision, not even a bit. I'd like to ask you about some of the people here. You want to know more about other Oculites? Ask them yourself. That is my recommendation. Goodbye, Phyllis. Also, the guards are these watchers. Not too sturdy. And then you realize that they're psionically imbued. Each and every one of them. And they are all in stealth. So, no, they wouldn't be. But somebody's like, kill them all, tee-hee. And it's for that reason that they are here. Like, case in point, Azif is only 310 health with a rather rare 200 psi points. And look, it's our buddy Abram, all the way from back at Junkyard. Find Abram leaning over what appears to be a three-dimensional map of Underrail, studying it intently. He shifts his focus to you as you approach. He starts to speak, but his voice comes out too raspy. He tries to clear his throat, but that results in a coughing fit. Finally, he composes himself and addresses you in his usual wheezing voice. I had a good feeling about you since the time you helped us free Mora. It does not surprise me that you found your way here. Why is that? You have all the qualities our organization is looking for. He coughs violently. You're perceptive, calculated, and you can get the job done. What the hell is this place, though? This is Oculus, the Eye. What can you tell me about the Godmen? I do not concern myself with Godmen, he coughs. You would be better off talking to Azif about them. He inhales deeply and pauses for a moment before letting out a long wheeze. Though I, personally, don't put much stock in his theories. Why is that? Because I do not believe in gods. There were only ever just men, Bacon. He takes a deep breath. And these would not be the first to declare themselves divine. What Azif sees when he stares into that thing is, at best, the glorified history of its creators, and at worst, a megalomaniacal fabrication, he coughs violently. Both are quite common in human history. What can you tell me about the mainframe? Not much. I did not interface with it. I like to deal with emotions to the holographic projection of Underrail, as he's interrupted by a violent coughing fit. Underrail? He nods in agreement as he regains composure. Current affairs. You really should do something about that cough. There is nothing to be done for now. Do not concern yourself with it. That won't work, but we'll go ahead and try. Are you sure? What illness are you suffering from? That is none of your concern. But it looks like we can come back if we've got the stuff prepped to test it again. So what's with the hologram? It is a geopolitical map of South Underrail. We keep track of various stations and communities of South Underrail and record relevant information. I need some geopolitical info. Which station or faction in particular is of interest? The places we track are marked on the map. Southgate Station. Even though it's not the most populous station or the most powerful militarily, it's still my belief. A violent coughing fit breaks him off. It's my belief that it's the strongest overall station in South Underrail. It's located far south, which makes it hard for the Protectorate to exercise significant pressure onto it. He coughs, despite their junkyard outpost. Many ex-Biocore members, some of which we suspect were very highly ranked within their previous organization, as well as many battle-hardened ex-gang members, made it their home. These are people with the know-how, gear, and connections, able and dangerous people. SGS has close ties with Junkyard and Camp Hathor, both of which rely on SGS's access to the lower Underrail Metro network for trading. On the topic of coughs violently. On the topic of United Stations integration, the leadership of SGS is split. There are people that believe that the movement itself could usher a new age of prosperity in which SGS could play a significant role. Others, many of who were victims of Protectorate's expansionism in the past or are sought after by the Protectorate's central command, he coughs, they would rather keep SGS as an independent station. Any other place or faction you'd like to hear about? Junkyard. Junkyard is a complex community. He coughs. Until recently, it's been run by two rivaling gangs, Black Eels and Scrappers. But recently the former managed to wipe out the latter, with a little help from the Protectorate. And me! Apart from being an important trading hub due to the fact that no goods are contraband there, it also serves as a demilitarized border between SGS and the Protectorate, as neither are allowed to deploy armed groups there. In the past, Black Eels used to be very chaotic and opportunistic, and didn't give much thought to long-term planning, he coughs. It will be interesting to see if that has changed after the recent power grab. Camp Hathor. It used to be much bigger. Oh, they left out an A. Community during its mining days, but after the mine was flooded, many sought their fortune elsewhere, he coughs. Few inhabitants who were determined to remain turned to hunting. Today, Camp Hathor is a major supplier of meat and leather, and it has good trade relations with all other stations. It is a remote place that has little in the way of valuables aside from experienced hunters, so it makes it an unattractive target for raiders or other major factions. It has very good relations with SGS, on whose metro access it relies for delivering goods to other stations. Rail crossing. Rail crossing has the smallest population, the least amount of firepower, and only moderate economic influence. He clears his throat. For that reason, many consider it to be the weak link in South Underrail's geopolitical network. The recent attack at the Faceless didn't help much to improve any of the above, either. Following this, as I predicted, rail crossing could not stand the outside pressure from the savage elements, such as nearby Ironhead's gang. He coughs violently. They had to turn to Protectorate for help. Unfortunately for them, the delivery of this aid whatever it might be, was interfered with, presumably by free drones. If the Protectorate and drones start butting heads over it, I'm afraid rail crossing I'm afraid the rail crossing community is in for a bumpy ride. He coughs. Assuming, of course, the Ironheads don't run it over in the meantime. Foundry. Foundry is famous and widely respected for its strong, heavy industry. It has the only working metallurgical facility in the entire South Underrail. It produces all manner of metal components, including weapon and automaton parts. It's particularly famed for its T-chrome alloy. It covers the entire South Underrail market with these and also exports heavily to northern regions. Foundry also ranks as the safest of all places in South Underrail, and perhaps the entire Underrail. A violent coughing fit interrupts him. When it comes to outside threats, this is due to the station being heavily fortified and their guards highly trained, well equipped, and numerous. Their troops are also battle hardened due to their frequent skirmishes with their hated enemies, the Ironheads. Citizens of Foundry are quite wealthy in comparison to other Southerners, and enjoy certain social benefits rarely seen in other places, such as life insurance, free health care, and pensions. Despite all this, Foundry is not a good place to live. The pollution levels are off the charts, and working conditions are quite hazardous. People die regularly from cancer, heavy metal poisoning, and workplace mishaps. It's ruled by the democratically elected mayor who manages station internal affairs along with the independently elected chief of security. They adopted isolationist political philosophy where they do not meddle in the affairs of others or take part in interstation events, but also reject all attempts by other stations to influence them. They do not hide their distrust of the Protectorate, but are willing to do business with them as much as any other station or city. This is the largest station state of the South by both population and territory. Core City used to be BioCore's main urban hub that housed a number of R&D sectors. He coughs violently and clears his throat. Following the Protectorate's takeover of BioCore up north, the elements of discontent in Core City's hierarchy used the opportunity to stage a revolt. This revolt was led by second in command of the Core City Security Forces, Archibald Knight, who was later joined in this fight by Rupert Simmons, one of the higher-ranking BioCorp technocrats. The revolt was successful, but eventually led to further infighting between Simmons' newly established company, Cortec, and Knight's group, Praetorian Security. For several years, Core City was in a state of chaos as the war between factions raged. At one point, though, as the threat from external organized gangs mounted, a truce was established. Eventually, this truce turned into long-term peace. An agreement was signed by Simmons and Knight. This agreement settled most of the territorial disputes of the time. There was, however, still a lot of bad blood between the members of these factions, due to years of very brutal civil war. Clears his throat. In order to vent frustrations, an arena was created, or rather, it came about on its own, an arena where people went to settle their disputes. In time, this arena grew and became quite an attraction. Then, a powerful businessman, Gunnar Edstrom, arrived from the east, from the far east. Late, true, but it turned out late was just right. His newly formed company, JKK, joined in the blood sport business, complementing all previous efforts, and with that, finally turned the arena into the tourist hotspot that it is now. Thus, the oligarchy was born. Concerning the three factions today, they still compete against each other, often violently, but their desire to make money through the arena and trade overrides their desires to kill each other, and reins in any ambitions to become the sole rulers of the city. There are very significant class divisions in the general populace. A great number of utterly impoverished people occupy a slum called Drop Zone, located on the fringes of the city. Violence and death is commonplace there. Even within the middle class, there is a lot of struggle for money and territory, and this has given rise to many gangs. Unless you are in the upper echelons, Core City is a dangerous place to live. When it comes to foreign politics, the status quo is again a preferred option for the ruling class. Core City is in a unique position to be both the only gateway between North and South, as well as Lower and Upper Underrail. They have contracts with the Protectorate that allow the latter to maintain certain military presence on the Core City docks, but the flow of troops from the north into their bases in the south is strictly regulated in a way the oligarchs consider it's necessary in order to prevent the Protectorate from becoming a threat to the city itself. How effective these restrictions have been is up for debate. Some argue that the oligarchs are making a mistake of allowing any troops at all to pass, since the Protectorate is establishing production facilities in the south that are capable of arming and outfitting these troops to boost their combat effectiveness, well beyond that which was initially estimated. Many also argue that if the United Stations are to expand into the south, Core City must be the first station to integrate. Without it, Protectorate has little in ways, he coughs violently, little in ways of pressuring those stations further south, as it would suffer from the lack of reliable supply lines. We can see this in the case of Junkyard and SRO? Not sure what SRO is. Be this as it may, no offensive actions have yet been taken against Core City or its rulers by the Protectorate, and the United Stations politicians have also been quite careful in their political language when talking about potential integration, as not to jeopardize current arrangements. These days, it seems that the primary threat to Core City are faceless, rather than the Protectorate. At least that is the most popular perception in the city. The Rig. The Rig, a black eel-controlled platform located just north of the Scrappy Narrow, at the southern edge of the core ring. Its construction began in the time when Biocore's downfall was still reverberating some 14 years ago, and it became fully operational in 2 years, although it has been expanded since. Black Eels have built it in order to gain control of the waterways, its traffic and trade, as well as to suppress the ever-rampant piracy, an objective they've been both successful and unsuccessful depending on the time period. The rig itself is a strategically located and heavily defended position, littered with auto turrets and its perimeter patrolled by the numerous armed jetters. There's no mystery as to why the eels are the primary opposition to the pirate menace. Another interesting aspect of the rig is its tavern, the popular stop or destination of all who sail between Chancer's Bay and the Core Ring, be they ferrymen, civilians, gangsters, or Protectorate Marines. It is indeed a busy place that earns the eels plenty of coin, it in tandem with the jet ski shop located right next to it. Recently, the eels have managed to greatly suppress the pirates. They have done so by acquiring an old Biocore sonar station, which is able to keep track of nearly all vessels in nearby waterways. They received it from the Protectorate, of course, who probably dug it from out of some ancient naval warehouse, and are clearly also benefiting from its installation. Underrail Protectorate. The Protectorate is a military organization formed some 17 to 18 years ago in North Underrail under the leadership of General Mellick. He united and trained the local gangs into a paramilitary force that eventually became an army. He used this army to overtake Biocore facilities in the north, which were then granted them access to the technology they needed, as well as educated scientists and engineers who knew how to make use of it. Following that, the Protectorate moved to create United Stations, a federation of station states, some of which who joined willingly, others who were coerced militarily, or just simply conquered. While officially the United Station is governed by a council, a special place on that council is reserved for the Protectorate's High Commander, and all the major decisions always require his approval, be it official or unofficial. Today, Protectorate is attempting to expand here in the south as well. In the recent past, they managed to restore and occupy a metro station in the south, now called South SRO, South Railroad Outpost, or SOR for short. They used this to set themselves up an embassy and junkyard. We'll see what road they will take in their attempts to integrate the junkyard. I assume that they will attempt to leverage the support from the residents of the lower class, who'd be more than happy to see the two ruthless gangs replaced by a faction that at least has a concept of civil rights. Free drones. Actually going to have to click on the last two. Free drones movement has been around for a long time up north, but it's a relatively novel thing in these parts. Basically, they are a group of anarchists whose main goal is to fight back the Protectorate expansionism. Depending on who you speak to, they offer different reasons for doing this, but the most common include the distrust of the Protectorate and historically proven inherent evil of imperialism or any type of great nation-state. Most of them would prefer our metro system to be a set of small, independent communities that cooperate peacefully in such things as trade and technology. The Faceless. And now, the Eye of the Underrail. We do not know much about the Faceless. Their origins, numbers, practices, and motives are well hidden from the outsiders. Information I have is not solid enough to be shared yet, and I do not wish to perpetuate baseless telltales. I will give you some advice, though, as I have encountered their groups in the past, even before this whole mess with the Core City invasion started. Avoid the small groups. They are usually very focused on a certain task and often quite hostile. The big groups, on the other hand, tend to tolerate strangers in their vicinity as long as you don't interfere with them. It's best to just avoid them altogether, if possible, at least until we can find out more about them. And the Institute of Chort. Institute of Chort is an interesting organization indeed. Depending on the perspective, you'll either hear it being defined as a benevolent research institution or a brainwashing religious cult. The truth is a bit more complicated than that. Chortists revere or worship a being they refer to as Chort. According to their claims, it is an actual living organism which resides in deep caverns and is of such paramount importance to the advancement of humankind as to warrant such dedication to it. It was discovered by a man who calls himself Idine, who is the founder of the organization. As a former biocore scientist of, to us, unknown status, he was able to surface to the top of the university's hierarchy after his discovery and take full control of it. Thus, Institute of Chort was born 1 century ago. Everything I've told you so far implies it is nothing other than a mere cult, justifying the second definition. However, as surprising as it may be, the first one holds equal truth. Holds equals truth? Oh, the first one holds equals truth as the second. 1 century has passed, and Iodine still lives. They put their money where their mouths were. They preached advanced through scientific research, most of it involving Chort itself, and during that 1 century, they've established probably one of the safest, most civilized, and self-contained communities in Underrail. Granted, they achieved it through a perfect balance of military might, scientific research, and strong emphasis on education, but the foundation indeed lies with Chort. They harm no one, and no one harms them. Their exposure to the rest of Underrail was recent, mainly due to a medical trade agreement with Core City, which in turn allowed them to freely spread their ideology in the city. Nowadays, one can see lines of people at the Institute gate, waiting to be let inside and start a better life. What reality awaits them inside, few know. How was Iodine able to prolong his life so that too is a mystery. Is it the power of Chort, or something else? They are interesting. One should be careful with the Institute, but one could also learn much from them. There's your pseudo-complete geopolitical explanation of practically every major power in South Underrail. Some of which we've already had sufficient evidence for, and others, as of yet, unexplored. Head up to the apex. A pale, skinny man turns to you and instantly unleashes a torrent of words. The words are expelled with such speed that you find keeping track of what he's saying a great difficulty. His rapid, twitchy motions, and the constant need to alternate between looking at you and the numerous monitors in front of him is both intriguing as well as uncanny. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, people. You must be Bacon. It's good to meet you. I'm Twitch. Which is actually kind of funny, stopping and thinking about it. Said it's good to meet you. I'm Twitch. Why are you doing that strange thing? Doing what? He looks at a monitor. Oh, wait, let me zoom that one in. More. Shame. The resolution is far too low to discern anything. I can't. He looks at you. Doing what? Doing what? The multitasking. It's creeping me out, man. Can't you focus on one thing at a time? He turns toward you. If I focus on one thing, I'm missing something else. I need to be on constant lookout in order to register and process everything that is happening. Simply by focusing all my attention to you, Bacon, I've already missed several important events. He looks at the monitors again. My way is the optimal way. What do you do around here, even though that should be completely obvious? Scrutinize, study, analyze, and then extrapolate, conclude, calculate. He focuses on something on one of the monitors. 17. I should write that down. Yes, the technology allows me to be a nearly omnipresent observer. I perceive what only few can, so if you ever need some surveillance help, I'm your man. By the way, is that is that a bald patch on your head? Maybe it's just the lighting. He looks at the monitor. How and why did you join Oculus? I was skilled enough to be... He looks at a monitor. What is he doing? Get out of there. He returns to you. I was skilled enough to be invited to meet Azif, just like you. Just like you, I started doing small-time jobs in Core City for people who later turned out to be... He looks at a monitor. It's Twitch from Twitch TV. Yeah, basically. Oculites? There? Anyway, I needed the money for my addiction. Those were hard times. I'm off the stuff now. I said I'm off the stuff now. He looks at a monitor. Anyway, I was approached and told I had done well. You could say that. Technically he's watching the streams, but that is still streaming it. I was approached and told that I had done well, that I had incredible perception and that Azif would like to talk to me. So I casually strolled through the caves and that's... He looks at a monitor. That's huge. What can you tell me about Oculus? It's a high-tech pyramid built by... He focuses on a monitor. Free drones? He turns back to you. I wasn't talking to you, sorry. Built by godmen. That's how we call the mysterious beings we know nothing about. It, the Oculus, is incredibly advanced. It is more sophisticated than anything even the most powerful people in Underrail possess. I adore some of the toys I have available here. I'm talking about surveillance tech, of course. Nothing in existence beats Oculus's arsenal of high-tech gadgetry. He laughs for a split second, then abruptly stops. What can you tell me about those robed Oculites? He answers you while still watching one of the monitors. Collectively known as Whisperers, the deadly Psi warriors belonging to a clan called Kazum Morakt guard Oculus vigilantly. All Kazum Morakt members are highly intelligent individuals who join the clan at a young age and receive training in all major Psi disciplines. Only upon mastering all of those can they swear an oath before being allowed to perform their duty. See, that was more believable before the Psi change, but I guess if they've been trained from youth, it's probably a lot more organic for them. Once they swear to protect someone or something, they will do so until death. Most often, it's the death of their opponents. Rare are the cases where members of the Kazum Marakt were killed on duty. There is a common misconception that they are mute, while in fact they are not. It is by their free will that they choose not to speak in order to... He stops abruptly. That is all I can tell you at the moment. I said that's all for now. He focuses on one of the monitors. Can you watch Arena on one of these monitors? Twitch glances at you, then returns to his monitors. Of course I can, Bacon. I lived in Core City before I came here. I was so addicted to watching... Turns at a different monitor. To watching the arena. A bloodthirsty maniac. Yeah, that's what I was. Let me play it on that monitor. One press of a button later. There, now we... Oh, joy. It's Mark the Impaler. How typical of him, he's impaling a man. Gee, never would have guessed that title would mean that he actually did the thing. He focuses on one of his monitors. Can I ask you about some of the other Oculites? He begins turning his head towards you, stopping midway, eyes still stuck to a monitor. Who knows? Maybe we will. No, if you wish to know more about someone, ask them yourself. His head returns to its original position. Goodbye, Twitch. So, the Oculus database is one of the few occasions in the game where you get the ability to hack, and it actually requires a substantially high effective hacking skill without the benefit of using a hacksaw. So some of the later hacks on it are actually very difficult. Browse personal files. Adrian Tanner. Actually, hold up. Let's go back and go ahead and do the hack first. The keycard? Do I... Okay. Hack. Yeah, to get to level 3, you need an effective 110. We don't quite have that. But we can get to level 2. So, personnel files. Adrian Tanner. So that's the leader of SGS. Pardon me. Adrian Tanner is one of the leaders of SGS. He is widely considered to be the most influential man in the station, though it seems he takes effort to downplay this. SGS steadily rose to power since Hadrian joined it. There is no record of Hadrian Tanner prior to him joining SGS, and all attempts to trace back his history have failed so far. It is suspected that Hadrian Tanner is actually just an alias. Vera Hale. Vera Hale is one of the leaders of SGS. She is known for her support of Protectorate and United Stations ideas. Vera migrated from North Underrail, where she worked as a deputy to the Minister of Trade of the United Stations. She was dismissed from this position for unknown reasons. Vera is credited as being a pivotal negotiator in many trade agreements with neighboring communities, such as Junkyard, Camp Hathor, and the Protectorate, Junkyard Embassy, and SRO. These trade agreements are held as a significant factor of SGS prosperity. Yevgeny Gorsky Zolnerovich. I probably said that wrong. Yevgeny is almost exclusively known by his alias Gorsky. The origin or the meaning of this alias is unknown. He was a member of a number of gangs in times before the revolution in Core City. Shortly after the revolution, he left Core City and eventually ended up in Southgate Station. Gorsky is well known on the streets of Core City and in other lower underrail communities of the South as an audacious fighter who rarely backs down. It is suspected that Gorsky was trained as a professional soldier in his youth, but it is uncertain where he would have gotten this training, since all attempts to link him to Biocore security forces returned negative results. Gorsky still maintains contact with a number of minor factions in Core City, most notably the Zone Rats. Silas. Silas is the leader of the Black Eels, a junkyard gang that controls its docks, the Chancellor's Bay, as well as the Rig, platform between Junkyard and Core City. It is unknown whether Silas is an alias or his real name. Edward Wheeler. Gang leader. Oh, Eddie. Eddie is the leader of the Scrappers. Doesn't matter, he's dead. Herve Fontaine. Herve is the captain. Okay, we're just going to skip the minor ones. Edgar, leader of Hathor, Martin Marshall, again. Rupert Simmons, CEO of CoreTech. Rupert was one of the high-ranking Biocore technocrats before joining the Core City Rebellion. Today, he is one of the 3 ruling oligarchs. Rupert and his company, CoreTech, play a key part in the infrastructural maintenance of the arena, as well as the Gauntlet, the latter being solely their creation. Gunnar Edstrom. Gunnar is a renowned trader. Gunnar moved to Core City quite a number of years after the rebellion and managed to work himself and his company into the ruling oligarchy by playing a mediator between the 2 major conflicting factions, CoreTech and Praetorian Security. Gunnar, his family, and his associates came from somewhere in the East Underrail, but the exact location is unknown, as are his previous business undertakings. There are rumors, though, that at one point, prior to his arrival in Core City, he was involved in slave trade. Gunnar's company broadcasts Arena Now and Gauntlet channels and also supplies some of the more exotic challenges. Archibald Knight, Praetorian Security CEO or Chief. Archibald was once the second in command of the Core City's security forces. After Protectorate invaded Biocor in the north, Archibald led a successful revolt against Biocor in Core City. He is one of the three oligarchs ruling Core City and commands the largest armed force in the city. He is the majority owner of the arena. Whit Nosek, Geneticist, Alignment Old Biocore, Old Biocore Renegade, involved in phenotype dynamics, Project Arima, Project Arc, and various Biocore projects. Whit was a second circle scientist, meaning that most of his personal and professional info was classified, resulting in very limited information we have on him today. Whit was dismissed from Arima by an unknown member of the first circle. He spent several years on minor projects before being reassigned to Project Arc. Following the Hollow Earth incident, Whit defected from Biocore, and from that point in time, his movements remain largely unknown. It is likely, though, that, assuming he's still alive and scientifically active, he would choose Core City as his residence, where he would be out of reach of Biocore and Protectorate while still having access to some scientific equipment. Or... oh, jeez. Okay. A lot of this doesn't really matter. This is mostly stuff for the individuals in various facilities. Alvin Bate, Free Drones South Underrail Cell Leader. It's fine. Remember, I am still eating this to YouTube, so... Alvin Bate is one of the leaders of the Free Drones primary cell in South Underrail, alongside Corbin Trenton and formerly Marcella Green. Little information on his life before joining the Free Drones exists. He is presumed to have arrived to South Underrail with the first Free Drones, and that he is one of the original founders of this region's primary cell. His only known family member is his alleged daughter, Mila Bate, currently located in Deese, North Underrail. Let's see. Let's go back to Marcella Green then. Marcella Green was one of the three leaders of the Free Drones primary cell in South Underrail, alongside Corbin Trenton and Alvin Bate until her sudden disappearance. Little information on her life before joining the Free Drones exists. She has no known family members in or outside of the movement, and neither her place of birth nor previous residences are known. She went missing approximately 2 months ago, and her current whereabouts are unknown. While there is no intel confirming or denying any assassination or apprehension attempts were made by Underrail Protectorate or otherwise, or that she has abandoned the movement for any reason, the first is the most likely of the scenarios considering the current political climate. However, no bodies matching her description have been recovered as of yet. As of recently, a strange woman has been noticed visiting the Hanging Rat. Her visits are frequent, yet she never orders anything, and neither does she ever communicate with anyone. All she does is sit at a table and observe. This paragraph exists in this file only due to a single account mentioning her holding a Circle A pendant in her hand. Iodine. No information on Iodine's life before the foundation of the Institute of Chort exists outside of Chortist sources. According to these, Iodine was a Biocore scientist who, about a century ago, first discovered and interacted with Chort, a primordial creature and the subject of Chortists' worship. How exactly he founded the Institute and the way in which he manages it is poorly understood, but what is certain is that he has maintained a secretive, isolationist policy for most of the Institute's existence. Iodine's longevity is claimed to be due to the application of research done on Chort. Since the Chortists do not share their research data with the outside world, this claim cannot be verified in any way. It is of course possible that Iodine has been more than one person since the Institute's foundation, since his actual appearance has never been made known. Furthermore, this poses the questions of whether Iodine has remained cybernetically unenhanced, as well as whether Iodine is actually a human at all. Mitt Dropper. The aliases Scalp, Gridfixer, Transfixer, Freak. Little is known of his origins other than he is suspected to have been working at the Biocore Cybernetics Center in Dees until its takeover. Exact position unknown, but suspected. Ooh, I really, probably need a drink. But suspected to be software security related. One incomplete record suggests that he had been a wanted delinquent and that his skills are what managed to earn him such respected employment. In recent years, he's been involved in numerous and often illegal activities across South Underrail. These include software and hardware hacking, forgery, manufacture, modification, and trading of various security breaching and manipulating devices, and similar reliable reports indicate that these activities have caused him problems with numerous organizations, groups, and individuals, some of them being his former clients. Confirmed to have managed to exploit various functionalities of the out-of-commission Metro emergency system, which he's accessing through numerous emergency phones by means currently unknown. It is not yet clear to what extent the emergency system can be used, but what is known so far is that it can at least provide access to certain utility sites, and by extension, equipment and systems. Norman Hack, who is this? Okay, not super important. Kevin, okay. Edward Oldfield, the professor in the expedition. Son of David and Amelia Oldfield, reformed Biocore researchers. Earned his doctorate degree at the Faculty of History, University of Dees, with a dissertation titled Sociopolitical Context of the Biocore Reformation Period, after which he started lecturing Biocore history at the University of Dees. During a 2-year hiatus following the dissolution of reformed Biocore, he focuses his work on the history of other supercorporations, primarily New Frontier Technologies, or NFT. After the hiatus, he resumes lecturing at the renamed Department of History on the subject of supercorporation history, which he continued lecturing to this day. He is currently leading an expedition to the Black Sea, most likely related to his research on NFT. Cadmus Grimm. Full name, Cadmus Grimm, alias Captain Grimm, captain of the Grimm Jetters. The current residence is the Black Sea, or Hell's Gut. Yeah, keep in mind, the DLC preceded NFTs by a couple of years, so... He is the founder and current leader of the Grimm Jetters pirate group. Little is known about Captain Grimm. He and the Grimm Jetters first gained notoriety by successfully raiding well-defended United Station convoys through highly advanced naval tactics. After the Grimm Jetters absorbed the smaller pirate groups and grew in size in the following years, Grimm has pretty much completely retired from raiding. It is presumed he now commands all his subordinates from the Grimm Jetters' hideout in the Black Sea. One source claims Cadmus arrived from North Underrail, but the claim has never been verified. Richard Briggs, the asshole who squeezed our shoulder nerves. He is one of the founders of Aegis Incorporated, a security company from North Underrail. You never know. That might be an option. Fought with Underrail Protectorate against Biocore armed forces during the takeover of Dees. After an exploding 30mm round completely destroyed his left arm and caused him severe nerve damage, from which he recovered for several years. The arm has since been replaced with a cybernetic prosthesis. After his recuperation, he co-founded Aegis Incorporated with Francis White, a notable businessman from North Underrail, and appointed himself Chief of Security. Oh, now the pirates. Well, you'll see. He is married to Jane Briggs, with whom he does not have any children. He is currently in South Underrail, as Aegis Incorporated has been hired to protect an expedition to the Black Sea, which is led by Professor Edward Oldfield from the University of Dees. And this is the other. He is a successful businessman from North Underrail and the owner of numerous, but mostly small businesses, the largest one being Aegis Incorporated. So I didn't play prior to the DLC. In fact, as soon as I got the game, I went ahead and got the DLC. So, on the one hand, it would not shock me if they were there prior to the DLC. However, I do know that the entry for Freak was not there originally, and Freak was added like relatively recently in the patch cycle. So, while it wouldn't shock me if some of these people were in fact in the original documents, they very likely could have only been added with the DLC. I do not know. He was born into a poor family. Oh, wait, I skipped some. Largest one being Aegis Incorporated, a security company from North Underrail, of which he is a co-founder and a co-owner. He was born into a poor family and lived most of his life on the rails, traveling from one place to the other. He worked various jobs over the years until he finally started his own electronics store in Hexagon. His business proved lucrative, allowing him to gradually acquire other small businesses and properties. Even though he never achieved the status of a business magnate, he is nonetheless considered to be one of the most successful businessmen in North Underrail, and a true example of a rags to riches success story. He has 7 children with Sheila Bagani, former personal assistant and now wife. Contrary to his nickname, he is of rather thin build. Oh, alias Big Frank, that would be why. He is of rather thin build, or as Kenneth Kramer, a Dees Today journalist, described it, rather ghoulish. Back. Browse project files. Project Arc. Little is known about it that dealt with human life longevity research. Notable people, Witnosek. Location, Anasea Lab, Upper Underrail. Project Arima, again, Witnosek. Nothing else known. Phenotype Dynamics, again, Witnosek. What is known about this project? What is known is that this project dealt with using mutagens to dynamically change phenotypes of a living being in its mature state. It is also known that much of the controversy that surrounded the Hollow Earth incident is related to this project. Anomalies. Siphoner Man. Siphoner Man. Anomaly type, undiscovered species. Potential hybrid. Recently acquired information mentions the existence of a Siphoner Man. Several sources vaguely describe it as a bipedal humanoid creature, highly intelligent, and, according to one source, even being capable of using language. So far, no proof of its existence is available, but the increasing number of such claims, while from unreliable sources, should not be ignored or treated as a hoax until more information can be acquired. No further information is available. And wait, biocore files. Okay, old biocore. When we talk about, so actually, I believe it's an RNG event, so you can literally just never encounter it in your run. It just depends on how the numbers go. When we talk about the old Biocore, we are talking about the ancient organization that created and ruled Underrail for centuries. They've built, maintained, and policed the entire Underrail, which was, at the time, a unified place where their people lived and worked. Biocore was governed by three tiers of technocrats. It is unknown whether these were elected or otherwise appointed, and how long their mandates lasted. What is known, however, is that the top tier technocrats were known as apex technocrats, and that they held significant executive power. Biocore ran numerous research and infrastructure projects in constant effort to improve Underrail, while at the same time pursuing increasingly isolationist attitude towards the outside world. The dangers of the world were deemed too great, and the final goals was to make Underrail an environment that is completely self-sustained. Somewhere between 150 and 200 years ago, a revolt within the organization sparked by what is now known as the Hollow Earth Incident. The details of why and how this revolt came to be are lacking, but it's likely to be, at least partially, brought about by the fact that Underrail could no longer support the large population that inhabited it. Questions of immoral experimentation and corruption were also raised, but to what degree these played the part in causing the revolution is unknown. The apex technocrats were displaced from power, though most of them were not apprehended. Civil wars erupted all over Underrail, and Biocore dissolved into many small factions. Many technocrats and scientists and engineers in general died in the following years. Biocore was no more. Reformed Biocore. Almost 100 years have passed since Biocore dissolved. Underrail is a chaotic and dangerous place now. Bandits roam the railways in between heavily entrenched sovereign station states. A group of scientists and engineers decided to resurrect the venerable Biocore organization. They restored the old places of power, Core, Hexagon, and Dees. The new Biocore was also ruled by a council of technocrats residing in Dees. The order was kept by highly trained Biocore security forces. This period of Biocore history is known as New Biocore, Reformed Biocore, or Second Biocore. It lasted a lot shorter than the old Biocore, however. Following the Protectorate's takeover of Dees, the capital of Biocore, the elements of discontent in the core city's hierarchy used the opportunity to stage a revolt. This revolt was led by second in command of the core city security forces, Archibald Knight, who was later joined in the fight by Rupert Simmons, one of the higher-ranking Biocore technocrats. Though Protectorate likes to claim that Biocore's power structure was adapted and integrated into United Stations, everyone within the organization agrees that all the power players of the reformed Biocore were either killed or incarcerated, or they fled. This ended the second incarnation of Biocore. Protectorate Biocore. Today, what remains of Second Biocore is completely under Protectorate's rule. Most of it is concentrated in the city of Dees, which is the capital of United Stations. Hexagon, though largely self-governed, is also a part of the United Stations. Core City is an independent city mostly focused on violent sport, entertainment, and trade, though a local organization by the name of CoreTech did inherit some of Biocore facilities and projects. The technocrats are all gone, and the organization is ruled by United Stations Minister of Science, who, of course, is directly appointed by Protectorate High Commander. And there you go. That's actually a lot of the prior history of the setting, just compiled nicely here in Oculus. I would also like to point out that we have literally been here like an hour. That's how much writing was done here. And look at this guy with, 750 health. I'm sure he's not important. There's much that strikes you as wrong as you approach this person. He is quite tall and a bit too lean for a human. His mechanical prosthetic right arm and left leg are clearly visible. On both his mechanical and healthy hand, he has 6 long, thin, creepy fingers. Easy peasy, so you want me to fight him? Is that what you're saying? His face is completely covered, and he appears to wear some sort of metal mask with 4 protruding lenses. And there's another extension on his forehead, his very forehead, that looks like a short gun barrel. Instead of hair, rigid wires protrude from the back of his head. At least you're self-aware, okay? As you approach to converse with him, he waves you away. As he speaks, his deep, rumbling voice feels somehow displaced, as if not coming out from his mouth. My business is with Azif. But, yes, you are correct. Apparently, people have actually done bills that would allow you to kill him, like here or elsewhere. But let's be real, my main form of damage is mechanical and electric. I do not have much in the way of an ability to do anything to someone like this. But we will leave him be. We just wanted to introduce him. To give you an idea, though, if I were to attempt to attack him, 45% accuracy. But here. Alright. Fine. We will, we'll do something extremely stupid. So, one, I'm not even going to bother with the flash grenade. It will not work. Dirty kick will probably miss, but fully resisted. Also, that does make literally everybody here hostile. Missed. And we'll turn on the shield just to make it last slightly longer. Literally just 2 swings. But yeah, we might learn more about him later. He's not exactly in a very talkative mood. I mean, excuse me, but my health is 214. Yeah, it kind of goes with having 3 constitution. No. Bulk. Come up to a tall man with a mildly irritated look on his face. Despite that, his tone of voice is generally welcoming and doesn't imply that your presence bothers him. And who do my eyes see? A newcomer. Welcome, Bacon, to a place that doesn't exist, to most people. I'm Constantine, the Oculus Quartermaster. And this is one of the reasons that you want to make sure you get into Oculus. Everything else, it's great for setting, great for quests, and there is one reason you definitely want to do the quests. But Constantine, once you can meet these mercantile checks, has some really good stuff. Even now, he casually has almost 100 quality items. In fact, he has over 100 quality items. He also has, well, he might not have them on him right now, but he also gets a few relatively rare blueprints, and he will be one of the best sources of components once we start doing proper crafting later. But let's wrap up with him, since he's the last NPC, and we'll go back and talk with the Zeef again, and then we will be done in Oculus for now. How and why did you join Oculus? Well, we all go through a similar phase. You do small jobs, then they like you. They give you bigger jobs, and those that require more of your skills. You've been through it all. You know it. As to why I joined, he raises his voice, so that I could stand around all day in this cramped, bloody, freaking bloody pyramid bottom 2x2 platform. Ah! Clears his throat. I apologize. It was a pursuit of work. Work brings money. Money can be used to buy food and equipment. So now I'm here, selling equipment for money. How does it feel working in the lowest level of Oculus? Isn't it a bit cramped in here? Of course it's cramped. Do you really think I haven't noticed? I can't even move a foot without bumping into something. All these bloody boxes. I wish I could just kick them all into the abyss. I apologize. You shouldn't have witnessed that. I agree, the place is a bit lacking in terms of space. And in addition, being in the lowest part of Oculus, I hear things trying to get in. What things? Well, crawlers, for instance. I can hear them climbing the walls. A faint sound at the bottom of the Oculus slowly comes closer, comes louder, then it stops. You forget about the creature, but it's still there. Maybe it can hear there's something inside, something alive, something that can be zoomed. But then the EDS fries the bugs, he laughs. They scream as their smoking carcasses fall into the darkness. I hate them. I hate them so much, as well as those bloody lunatics. What is the EDS? Electric Defense System. Not the official name, though. The original one is only known to whomever built Oculus. I have no idea how it works, but in essence, it sends a surge of electricity through anything it deems dangerous, frying it. And it's smart. The system knows what should and what shouldn't be killed. It can be, well, distracting at times, hearing burning lunatics scream and tumble into the abyss, but again, it also brings a smile to my face. Because I hate those bastards. You mentioned lunatics. Who are they? You don't know who lunatics are? Stick around and you might find out. Well, you'll hear them trying to climb the Oculus. They reside very close to the bottom of it. Unlike crawlers, lunatics always come in groups. They bother you often? Do they? Do they? They bloody do. It's like I was cursed by this orb of annoyance that flies around my head and causes all sorts of infuriating things to happen. Why? We'll get inside, even though there's a pile of burned corpses below the Oculus. They just have to give it another go. And another. And another. I apologize. These things really bother me sometimes, and I might overreact at times. You still didn't tell me who these lunatics actually are. Lunatics are... So, it's funny you say that. That group down there, I don't think they were down there before. I am pretty sure there was no interactable there before. So the synesthete lunatic cult, I'm pretty sure that's all new. But the text here, him complaining, that was there. The crawlers, that was also mentioned, so That also lends credence to the theory that the DLC people were already mentioned prior to the DLC, but can't confirm that. Lunatics are. Think of Ironheads and Lurkers, a bandit gang that is similar in size but composing mostly of psionics. Powerful psionics, while we're at it, but the trade off is that they are insane and unpredictable. That's why the Morons try to jump all over the bloody Oculus and disturb us. What a bunch of thick-headed cretins. Who was that six-fingered cyborg? Oh, actually, what can you tell me about Oculus? Oculus? You came down here to ask me that? You expect me, to answer your stupid questions? What can you tell me about Oculus? Go ask Azif. He brought you here anyway. He takes a deep breath. I'm sorry. I guess I'm a bit nervous. But what can you tell me about that six-fingered cyborg? Six? That's what we call him. Six. Because of his fingers. Six. That's how many there are. Yeah. In any case, I suggest you do not bother the cyborg, no matter how intriguing he might appear. He's not the most approachable type, so to say. No one knows where he comes from, or what he's truly capable of. We only know that he's a client, and that's all we need to. Still, you might try asking Azif about him. I wouldn't put my Karens on getting an answer. Can I ask you about anything about the people in Oculus? Who do you want to know about, Vagan? Abram. Why him? Why did you ask about him first? It could have been any bloody else. But you had to ask about him. What the hell is wrong with you, huh? This is so damn tiring. Always him. It's always bloody him. He calms down. I apologize for this. I really do. Can we not discuss other people in the future? Thank you. Thank you. Can you tell me about those robed oculites? We call them Whisperers. They are quite an interesting breed, I must say. They all belong to a single clan of Psi warriors who call themselves Kazum Marakt. A very rough-sounding word, I know, but believe me, it fits them well. They were here long before I arrived. I think they are from North Underrail. You'll find them throughout Oculus, standing still, observing what happens around them, assessing everyone and everything. You can't initiate a conversation with them, trust me. I've tried. Especially with that one in the corner of this platform. He mutters something to himself. Catch you later. I'm a little tempted to reload the autosave just to see if prompting about somebody other than Abram would get something, but I'm getting a bit late, so I would like to wrap up. Oh wait, wrong level. Yes. Who is that six-fingered cyborg? He is a client of mine. Do not bother him. He is not a very talkative fellow. Tell me about that assignment. There lived a man, and it could be that he still lives. Oh, yeah. Well, we'll see how that turns out. It might be a two-session thing. There lived a man, and it could be said that he still lives, named Wit Nosek. A long time ago, he used to work for Biocore, the old Biocore, before Underrail Protectorate takeover, way before. I don't see why it wouldn't. He worked on a project called the Ark. The exact details of the project are unknown to me, but I do know it was related to some manner of life longevity research. What I do know is that near the end of his time with Biocore, he made a major breakthrough in his research. Unfortunately, those were chaotic times, and he ended up not sharing these results with his colleagues before he fled from the organization. Nah, that's Fallout's Ark project. I need to know what these results were, and I suspect that Wit is the only man who that can help us with that. I don't know where he is, or if he's alive at all. So getting this information will surely not be easy. You will have our knowledge database to help you in your investigation, though, so I suggest you start there. You can access it through a console in the geopolitical room near the holographic map. Yeah, if so, while I do have a soft spot for 3, um, 3 is objectively systematically inferior to New Vegas, as well as the fact that New Vegas just has a better written adventure. Um, 3 does have a better setting, though. 1 and 2 are, of course, what most would consider the golden standard in terms of well-rounded. Okay, so that's not as good as a. There used to be way better cells. I mean, down to 5. Granted, I'm referring to American, but $5 for the ultimate, which, yeah. Uh, but 1 and 2, which may or may not be your cup of tea, they are somewhat similar to Underrail in terms of gameplay. Uh, yeah, I think, you know what? Give me 1 sec. Let's just pull up Steam so I can look at. Yeah, so base is 10, ultimate is 20. But yeah, if it were on sale like the good sales that, granted, I never pay attention because I've got it, it would be about $5. Tell you what, if you remind me when a good sale is going on, I might see about assisting your acquisition. Because at least New Vegas is relatively easy to approach for somebody. But that's our quest. Oh, whoops. Wrong. See you later. But before we actually leave, let's touch the big crystal. The big psionic crystal that talks about leviathans. It should check the store page though, and if it doesn't, Steam has gotten really good about controller support even for games that don't have it, so you could probably finagle it. Suspended in the middle of the pyramid, the massive glowing rock hums softly. Focus your mind on the rock. You clear your mind of other thoughts and focus just on the sound of the humming rock and its strange contours. After a while, the walls of the pyramid start moving away from you. At first, slowly, but then they begin accelerating. They escape faster and faster, moving light years away from you. But somehow, you can still see them. Inversely, the rock shrinks to subatomic size. You can no longer see its light, but you can still feel its presence through the humming. It means it kind of sort of can work, but it's a little finicky. Just use the Steam support in that case. In the vastness of space, surrounded by the pyramid's walls, a storm of memories, knowledge, and visions rage around you. Most of them seem well beyond your reach, but you might be able to glimpse into some of them. Focus on the 2 large objects revolving around one another. Your attempt to focus on the twin objects, but your mind's eye cannot follow their movement, and you are forced to give up. Focus on the nearby superheated object. The heat makes it too hard for you to focus on this phenomenon. Focus on the pervading background waves. You try to feel and make sense of the background waves, but they only make your brain throb. Focus on continuously distorting constellations far away. It is as if you are looking at the stars of faraway galaxies through melting glass, and you find it impossible to focus your eyes on the constellation. Escape back to reality. So, this is what I meant by if you don't have a high will character, you actually do get a little bit gimped on setting details, or at least in full immersion. If you have enough will, you can look into these things. And while it is only, visions, it does add context to what Azif said. But the thing is, if you're not going into psionics, like hard going into psionics, there is no reason to invest heavily into will. And there's very few ways to boost will via gear. So, it is what it is. With a sickening screeching, space around you implodes, and just as quick as it expanded, the pyramid reverts back to its previous state. So, that is the Oculus. Well, arguably the most important faction to get in with for various reasons. I'm going to Dude's Cave Home. And getting more juice, because he should have reset by now. And then back to SGS. But I have never not gotten into Oculus, largely because I do try to do things the stealthy and non-murdery way. So it did work out to begin with. But that is where I am going to call it tonight. I actually kind of went on longer than intended, but if I stream tomorrow, it may be more of this, just because I don't, I don't feel like fiddling too much with other settings just yet. Iconoclasts and probably Breath of Fire 3 are probably coming up. Iconoclasts will probably be a 2 bare minimal, 3 most likely, and though unlikely, possibly 4-session game. Breath of Fire is a proper RPG, though. That will take a fair number of sessions, but will be much different than Underrail, so it should provide some variation. I have a few people to blame for finally just sparking that, but can't really raid them right now. They're not really around. That should be it. I don't have any other plans for other things yet. They will come after at least Iconoclasts. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed or found something of interest in this. This will end up on YouTube as all major things so far have. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Take it easy, and hopefully see you next time.